You're listening to the Things Podcast, brought to you by the Things Industries.
We're here at the Things Conference, and we're going to talk to Terry Moore from MCCI Corp, and we're going to talk about IoT. But before we start talking about IoT, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself, your company, and what role you play in the IoT ecosystem?
Well, I'm the founder of MCCI. The company's about 30 years old, and we are a system software firm. We focus on system problems. We have two areas of where we work. One is USB, which is not of interest. The other is IoT, where we basically do systems for customers, and then we help them either by supplying components or by having referring to parts.
Okay, very. And you've been an active follower of the Things Network and industries for a while, I believe.
Right. I went to one of Venki and Johan's meetups in New York City in 2016, I think.
That's when I met him as well in Singapore.
Yeah, and I didn't understand what they were saying, but I saw that Multitech was making the equipment, and I knew Multitech from our USB business for forever. So we bought a gateway, and I set it up in our office in New York City. And the next day they called me and said, "You're in charge of the Things Network New York." And said, "Oh my gosh."
Well, that's an exciting role to play.
Yeah, it's worked out well, mainly because it fits nicely with my personal issues. We set up a nonprofit, and so we've been working a lot with teachers and students and startups and with city. So it's been passionate.
It almost becomes a nice testing ground then for different types of solutions.
Yeah, it does. And it also becomes a way to really watch things happen and see what works and what doesn't work, not just as a testing ground for our own stuff, but, the whole just getting a feeling for the life cycle.
Okay. So a lot of the things we talk about on these different podcasts we've been doing today is trying to figure out what problem do you solve. So looking at MCCI Corp, what problem do you solve for your customers?
We know how it works. So that's like...
Fair enough. You're the guy who does.
Yeah, well, we've got about 30 people, and we've been doing this for the IoT stuff for 10 years. But I started doing industrial controls in 1977 after college. I'm an old. So so we came in with a basic understanding of the ecosystem and how all of this stuff works in deploying remote sensing systems. So that has been a huge help. We can predict what some of the problems would be, actually.
Well, that's good because we've had a lot of problems over the first 10 years of IoT where we've built up a lot of hype, haven't delivered as much value, but now it seems to be coming around and seems to be going a little bit better. But I want to ask you, if there's one thing that you could remove, one blocker in the ecosystem that's holding us back, what would that be?
Well, I have to, I don't want to be too rude, but actually the name LoRaWAN is a huge problem in the United States. It does not roll off the tongue. Many of our customers hesitate when they try to pronounce it. So it becomes a big problem. The United States is a big place, and people don't hear the word LoRaWAN. I don't know what to say exactly. Is that LoRaWAN?
LoRaWAN? Yeah. No, it's funny because I've heard it so much over the last decade that I don't think about it. But then when you say it to somebody who's not from the industry, they're like, "What?"
Yes.
Okay, so that's the thing. First thing on the priority list, we're going to rename LoRaWAN. What are we going to call it? Thomas. We'll call it Thomas. Thomas is easy.
I'm an engineer. Don't ask an engineer what to call something.
We'll get the marketing people. Get the guy who came up with the Internet of Everything, and then we'll bring that in and see what we can really excite people on it. So, all right, so what is your take, though, on the current state? I mean, you've seen this industry, and you've been in the industry before it was the Internet of Things. Would you describe it right now? Like, are you quite bullish on it? Do you think it's still learning? What state do you think we're at?
Well, if I were a venture capitalist, I would be very frustrated. But having been involved with industrial controls for so long, I know that a hockey stick is extremely unlikely. So it's performing very much according to my expectations, which is that you get some successes, and at every success it's always a proof of concept, and then you have to build up, and you have to be patient. We're seeing very strong growth this year, despite all of the difficulties that are coming from policy. Fundamentally the demand is really there. So and it's not just demand for LoRaWAN, it's demand for remote sensing. The demand for being able to control your processes and see what's going on, and then control from a point of view or knowledge rather than guesses.
And I think it's good because we have AI driving the market now, but for AI to be effective, it needs more data. And now these sensors start giving us that data. So it allows us to better manage our infrastructure, our buildings, our devices, our networks, whatever it might be. So we are starting to progress quite a bit on that respect.
Right. There's still the problem of having training data and all of that stuff. It's not clear to me how a chat GPT system is going to be able to get the data that it needs from the corpus that's called first. But it's going to, so there's going to be a process where we're learning how to feed the right training data to the machine learning systems to get those kind of results. So it's clear what can be done.
And I like what you said before, that it's not going to hockey stick. It's going to be much more of a gradual. And I think that's good because that's what happens when it's more business as usual. And I think we overinflated with all of our market hype and our incredible forecasts. And I used to work for a firm that produced some really nonsensical forecasts. So I'm not even going to go there. But I like the fact that it's getting this, because as you do the proof of concepts, once they start delivering value, they roll out and it starts growing incrementally, which means there's still a large pie to go after. And this has got a long tail of opportunities coming up.
Yeah, it's reality based. That's really much more fun doing business because your customers are happy for it.
Yeah, it's also nice because now that it's not in that hype phase anymore, people realize that this stuff actually does work. And it's not like before where you were searching for a successful use case and a successful business case that supported it. Now you got plenty of them, and you're seeing a lot of large tenders coming out from people in water, utilities, and they're starting to realize that this data really does improve my business. And it's not because they like the tech, it's because really it's giving me business value. And we're finally getting away from the technical discussion and turning it into more of a value discussion. So that's good progress we're making then.
Yeah.
So one other question for you. I know you've been busy all day at your stand and then running around talking to people. What's your favorite thing that you've seen here so far today?
Oh, all the people.
The people.
Always like business runs off of connections between people. And I'd like seeing lots of people wandering around talking to other people doing stuff. You go to a show where there's not activity and there's not communication and people talking about stuff, you can tell that things are not good.
Yeah.
And here, there's not a lot of, I haven't seen a lot of new people going by. Well, I've seen a lot of people that I know, and everybody's doing so. This is very encouraging.
It's also not very encouraging if you're sitting there and those same people are gone. You're like, what happened to them? Oh, they're not in the system anymore, our ecosystem anymore. So it's good that people are here. It's also a wider ecosystem this year, so we're bringing in a wider community. So it's been a lot of fun because, like, in the old days, those were like the enemy camps, and they're fighting against each other, and now we're getting along with it.
We are definitely, in MCCI, because we do all kinds of connectivity. So now we use VRA, we use whatever our customers need us to use. It's like our focus is, as the market matures in this kind of business, you focus on the customer needs and what's going to make money for everybody, not on, I love this technology.
Yeah, but that's what we did for years. We sat there and would say, I want to do this type of solution, and the customer would say, but I want to use this type of connectivity. And we're like, no, you have to use our connectivity. Well, no, you provide them what they want. And I'm glad that you're doing that because we need more people delivering solutions that the customers actually want instead of us pushing our tech saying, you must buy what I provide. Excellent. Well, listen, I hope you have a wonderful rest of show. Enjoy it and enjoy your time in Amsterdam. Thank you very much.
Pleasure talking. Thanks so much.
Thanks.